This is actually really exciting. So we're meeting with Gregory Moore. He's the commissioner of the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, a group of schools out of the South, all historically black colleges and universities. We can actually work with the conference and the schools, maybe create a pipeline for players to come from those universities into the fan-controlled football league. Really establish something I think unique, a partnership with the athletic conference. So it's going to be fun.
We have to reinvent our league to be relevant to a new generation of fans.
My name is Gregory Moore. I'm the commissioner of the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. We are a NCAA conference of 14 historically black colleges and universities. Been around for 100 years, founded in 1913, and I've been doing that since 2009. It's been over 9 years. Our league takes a great amount of pride in being innovative. You know, we're the first league to have women work a football game. We're the first league to have launch an Android app. First college league to do diversity inclusion partnerships with the NFL and NBA Player Association. So we pride ourselves on technology and keeping abreast of new and innovative things happening in sport. And we read an article about you guys in the Wall Street Journal. And I really felt that it was something worth exploring, the idea of fan-controlled football, professional football league. Well, I mean, I think it's intriguing. Pro football, it may be reaching a point where it needs to be perhaps reinvented in certain ways, in a way that it resonates more with millennials and Generation Z young people. And I think by and those kids are used to having more control and used to having choice. And I think by incorporating those elements into a professional football league and also reducing maybe the programming window for 3.5 hours, something a little shorter in length, I think this has potential. Well, I'm of the opinion that there is an oversupply of players who can play in the NFL who just don't get the opportunity. And unfortunately, the biggest dispositive factor of whether or not you're going to play is often tied to exposure. So unless you're a Division I student athlete, oftentimes you're not going to get the kind of exposure that you may need to get the attention of the larger professional sports league. So I think one of the potential opportunities that this league may have is by giving our kids additional opportunities to show what they can do. So I'd love to, see how that plays itself out. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking at some point, we could, maybe explore the idea of combines and tryouts and the like. I mean, I'd love to. I think we discussed see how the league is going to ultimately manifest in terms of where the teams are and how the rules are going to, ultimately where they're going to end up in terms of rules, what the game's going to look like. But I think if the league is a league that fundamentally is a football, the game of football is still being played, but just tweaked a little bit, and it's played in a way that it can form the basis of maybe moving up to the CFL or transitioning to the NFL, like Kurt Warner went from the AFL to the NFL, then I think it can become a viable, professional development platform. Yeah, I think one of our competitive advantages is technology, right? We have some great academic institutions in our league, but we also have kids who are very savvy. There's some data out there that talks about how African Americans over-index on OTT consumption. Platforms like Amazon Prime, Netflix, YouTube. We over-index on Instagram, we over-index on Twitter. So when you look at the degree to which our fans and our students in particular interface with these digital and social media platforms, and when you look at the possibility of your league living on these platforms and living on them in a unique way, I think our kids can be real leading early adopters in helping to spread the word about this league. I can't speak specifically to blockchain courses and curriculum, but I will say, all of our presidents, to a man and a woman, are emphasizing all the STEM disciplines, and they're recognizing the importance of making sure that their kids are competitive in the marketplace when they graduate. So, we have all kinds of, activities. There's a heavy emphasis on STEM, and I'll just say one of the benefits of that is that we recently consummated a partnership with Toyota, and part of that partnership involves Toyota putting together hackathons on our campuses. So they've been working with all of the STEM academic department chairs to basically put together a hackathon program that's going to be rolled out this spring. So Toyota partnered with us in part because of the caliber of our institutions and because of the kind of kids that we have. So again, I can't speak specifically to blockchain, but I would suspect that at some point, as that gains more legitimacy as an academic discipline, I would expect our schools to be in the forefront of incorporating those kinds of courses into their curriculum as well. Well, from Fort Valley State, Tyrone Poole, he was a first-round pick of the Charlotte Panthers. He's actually one of the first picks of that franchise. He has won 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots as a starting quarterback, and he does our color commentary for our ESPN games this past fall. If you watch Super Bowl involving the Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks, that last play, in terms of Malcolm Butler, well, the pass was being thrown to Ricardo Lockett, who played in the SIAC and was a receiver for the Fort Valley State Wildcats. So people forget that Super Bowl game came down to a Division II player, Malcolm Butler, from a school and a conference I shall not name, and a Division II player from the SIAC, Ricardo Lockett, who was that close from being the hero of that Super Bowl. Most recently, we had a kid, Grover Stewart from Albany State, a defensive tackle, all SIAC, who got drafted last year in the 4th round by the Indianapolis Colts. So we, generally keep, about 7 or 8 players in the NFL. Junior Gillette, who played at Stillman College, he signed a $40 million Saints. Correct. He signed a $40 million deal. He was, played all SIAC performer in our league, and obviously, probably most conspicuously is Market King, another Fort Valley State Wildcat, who is a first-team All-Pro punter for the Raiders. Our probably most famous football player in the last 25, 30 years is Shannon Sharp, Savannah State University receiver, 2-time SIAC Player of the Year, champion Super Bowl winner for the Broncos, and a recent Hall of Fame, NFL Canton Hall of Fame inductee. Out of our 14 schools, 11 of them are private, 4 of them are state schools. So we have a more tilt towards private institutions. Broadly speaking, my main role is to be the evangelist for the conference to key stakeholders, television partners, corporate partners, the NCAA, parents, student athletes, cities, municipalities who host our championships. So I got to constantly tell our story that I think is a compelling one. I also, on a more micro level, we negotiate our deals with ESPN. I help negotiate our deal with Nike, a multi-year apparel deal with Nike. We're the only league that has a conference-wide deal in college sports with Nike, whereby every school is head-to-toe outfitted in Nike. We are, have interesting partnerships with the NBA Players Association, where they come every summer and work with our student athletes, and scouts and GMs come as well to work with our student athletes. We're big on diversity and inclusion. We have a partnership with minor league baseball where, we provide kids internships with different minor league baseball teams. There are 160 of these teams spread throughout the country. So, I'm constantly looking for ways in which to leverage intercollegiate sports to advance the overarching interests of our schools, because even though we're a consortium of historically black colleges and universities, we're only as strong as the schools are. So essentially everything I do has to at least touch one of 5 critically important interests that's important to the school on a micro level, which is enrollment and retention, marketing and branding visibility of our institutions, engagement of alumni in the communities they serve, obviously revenue generation, and to the degree that we're working within the context of sports, maximizing student-athlete experience. Nike does that in terms of the uniforms and looking good, and ESPN does that in terms of being on TV. We had the most games on TV last year in Division II. Sidearm Sports, our partnership with them does that. Our kids can now have their games streamed. Their parents can see them. The rosters and statistics and photos. So, everything we do has to at least touch one or more of those strategic priorities, which again, I think puts the SIAC at the conference level in alignment with the priorities of the schools at the member school level. 9 years. I started in January of 2009. I did a 5-year extension, yeah. This is a Final Four ring, and one of our schools made it to the Elite 8, which is the Division II does not have a Final Four. They have a Final 8. Okay. So it's been many, many years since a team from our league made it that far in the tournament. And one of the benefits of being a commissioner is that we get to wear a ring that commemorates these kind of achievements when our member schools, make it that far. So I don't wear it that much, but since I'm here at All-Star Weekend, and it's a basketball, well, I'm here because, again, we have a partnership with the NBA Players Association. So in light of that, I think this is a place you got to be. We also are the only we're the only college conference in the country, as I mentioned, that has a league-wide head-to-toe deal with Nike. Nike, I think, is in year 1 of their partnership with the NBA. So there's some touch points that I think that makes it, I think, a good idea to be out here and network with people who we are in partnership with and people that we hope to be in partnership with. I feel good about that. I mean, you mentioned some of the guys who are involved, and these are thought leaders in the sports space. I mean, real respected people. And to be honest with you, in addition to the idea that you guys have on the merits, the fact that you hear VCs talk about B idea, A management team. They rather have an A management team. It just seems to me that you guys have an A idea and an A management team and an advisory board. So I'm honored to contribute where I can.
No, I appreciate that. We'd be honored to have you, and look forward to working with you more as we build the FCFL.
Perfect. Thank you.